Okay, before I was rudely interrupted again by my battery. God, these cameras do my head in. Okay, as I was saying, you fit your friction plate. Let me have a drink of tea, I'm getting all my words mixed up. Friction plate. Right, you get your friction plate, or your friction plate even, and as you can see, you've got a, let me just tip the camera up a little bit. You've got a bolt hole there, and a dowel there, a guide there, next to a bolt hole, okay? So on this old one, we can see the old markings from the bolt, and a guide hole next to it, so we know we're in the right place. And if you get one right, you get them all right on pretty much every single car. Double check, because you've got to have this lined up right, so double check it's flush, it's flat to the flywheel all the way around once you've bolted it up, just to double check it. But like I say, it normally lines up like that. You can use your old clutch, because you won't have the bolt hole marking, the old bolt markings on your new clutch obviously, so you can check with your old clutch and maybe even mark it with a pen as to where the positions are. Okay, so there's a way of doing it. So right, next stage is, we've put the friction plate on behind it. You want to raise this up, okay, and then just get it on one of the pins and then pivot it off that pin slightly side to side until you find the other ones. You have to do it blind a little bit because you can't exactly see, and then once it's on those pins slightly, just place a couple of bolts in. Okay, you don't want to be tightening these bolts up, because as soon as you tighten these bolts up, it tightens the clutch plate up and you won't be able to move the position of it. Okay, so we've got a couple of these bolts in at opposite ends. Okay, also before you tighten these bolts in, get them all in finger tight, and then tighten them up, because otherwise you'll end up tightening 3 or 4 of them up, and then you'll find out that 2 or 3 of them are out of line and you can't get the bolts in, and that is a little bummer. Right, so as you can see, I've put that shuttle on the end there, yeah, so the bar can move up and down, and you can see inside there, I think if I move my shoulder out of the way and give you a little bit of light, you can see that clutch moving behind that friction plate. Okay, sorry, you can see the friction plate moving behind the pressure plate. Okay, so I need to get that centered, don't I? Alright, now it doesn't have to be millimetre perfect, alright? You can be a little bit out either way, because when you push your gearbox in, your clutch, in fact, no, I won't say that, because it won't give that much effect, but you will get some kind of release on this, and with the weight of your gearbox, it will overpower to a certain extent and not damage the lining if you're out a little bit and it has to force this a little bit to the left or a little bit to the right. You also want to put some grease on your spigot shaft on your gearbox end, because it helps it guide it in smoothly as well. Okay, if it is a little bit out. Right, so back to this, you can see with your eye that the gap between that side and that side is either offset, or generally in the middle. Okay, so what you want to be doing is getting that in the middle, okay, and getting your bar, so have a good look how your engine's sitting, and then look where your bar is. Now, because I'm looking over the top, I can't see whether that's up or down. Okay, so another good way to do it is go all the way down and all the way up, and find your middle point. Imagine your middle point, and then go side to side and just imagine your middle point. So I'm saying, I think the middle point's about there. You can also use bars and put little wood blocks around here, make sure they're the same size. You can be as anal as you want about this, you really can. Yeah, you know, it's all about the angle, like I said in the first video. It's very important about angles and positioning. So okay, so be as anal as you want about this, but the idea is to get it lined up in the center, so the gap around this shuttle here is the same all the way around, and then you know that clutch plate is in the middle. Now we've got the helicopter coming back. So once you've done that, you can put the rest of your bolts in. Okay, and to be honest, in fact, you can let that go for now, because you can reposition it. So let's put all of our bolts in finger tight, and then what we'll do is we'll get 2 of them just to the point where they're tightening up, okay? Because you're only going to, well, really, you're only going to need to nip one up to stop it moving and to let you be able to remove this tool out. Okay, so I'm just putting the last few bolts in. I think I've got one more to do after this. Yep. Okay, and that's these little 12mm bolts. Oh, yeah, 12mm bolts they are. And that's the last one in there. Nice, I think. Oh, let's wiggle it in. It's just struggling. This is what I mean. I've had to wiggle that about now to get this last bolt in. Now, if that was all tight and I'd tightened those bolts up, and I'd got this last bolt, or I'd left one out and thought, oh, I'll do it later, yeah, that wouldn't have been able to happen. I'd have had to take this whole clutch off again and line it up again. So just make sure. Okay, so right now we've got all our bolts in. I've got 2 of them ready to be tightened up, and I've still got a bit of movement. I've still got easy movement on this. So I'm going to find my centre point again. So up, down, left, right. So I'd say it's around about there. Okay. Right. With my other hand, I'm going to get my ratchet. I'm going to get that bolt. I'll go on this one so you can see it. All right. I'm just going to get that on there. Get my ratchet going the right way. Now, while I'm holding this central, and keep an eye on it. Okay, keep a nice gap on the bottom as well where I can't see with my finger. I'm just going to tighten this up. You have to be quite tactile with your fingers at this point, because the bolts are that loose that it won't work the ratchet mechanism on your ratchet like that. You see, it's not making the noise. Sometimes you can just turn that, yeah, with your fingers, and then when it gets tight with your fingers, then start doing it with the ratchet. Okay, these bolts can be a bit of a pain, so we'll do it that way. No, it's still not catching. Alright, we'll get there. Ah, there we go. Right, it's starting to catch now. So, okay, as I well, there you go. Look, I've only nipped that up a tiny little bit and put a tiny bit of pressure on that bolt, and already that, as you can see, is moving in a less smooth way. So the grip's starting to take hold. Okay, so now we can really start fine-tuning the position. All right, you can even, in fact, I'm going to take you down here and we can have a look there. You see? Right, okay, so we can see from there that is pretty good. Okay, maybe up to the right a touch, a tiny bit maybe, but we've got it pretty central there. I'm quite happy with that. I'm just going to look through him with my own eyes without the camera. Yeah, I'm happy with that. A touch to the right, up to the right a tiny bit, but I don't think it'll make too much difference, to be honest. So, like I say, you can tighten one bolt up just a touch, and it will hold that in place then. And then you can just go around the rest of the bolts. Just mind not to touch the aligning tool while you do this, because you don't want to move it now you've got it right. In fact, I said a little bit up to the right, didn't I? So let's do that. There we go. So, no, there we go. I've touched that to the right now. I'm happy with that anyway. So, tighten that up. We can tighten that up. And don't tighten it up fully, because you need to go around and do them equally. Now, what I want you to notice here is, as I tighten them up, these fins are going to start pushing in, because they're going to start tensioning up. Maybe you can see that. I hope this comes through on a visual, because this is it won't come through on the visual with my big mitt in the way, will it? Alright, I'm trying to close the fins that will show you the angle. No, I don't think these fins are going to give enough movement for you to see this visually, which is a shame, because these fins all move in and you can just see it working. It's just nice to see these things in action without everything in the way. Right, okay, so we tighten those up. Well, I'm not going to tighten them all up, because this is just an example, and I'll stop singing now because the weather's nice and I don't want it to rain again. So now that's all tightened up, and I can now remove my tool. Oh, sorry, not the camera. There you go. Right, that's lined up, that's ready. So we'll take you back under here just so you can see that it's lined up without the tool inside, and just so we can double check. Okay, so there you go. So what I'm just looking at is those splines there, and I need that to be central to that inner hole, the smallest hole that you can see. So I would say that that is pretty central to there. Okay, so we're good. This gearbox is then going to go underneath this car. I'm going to lift it into position. I'm going to guide the drive shaft in first. It's a little bit tricky to get in position, but this is why you get the car so high in the air at the start. Like I say, all about positioning. I'll show you how heavy the gearboxes are in a second. They're not massive, and if you do struggle, use two of you. If you get a mate to do this, one of you can hold it from the top and one from the bottom, and it would be so easy. It'd be the easiest job in the world then. So there you are, I get by with a little help from my friends. Now, not that I ain't got no friends, but they're all at work. Okay, so, and I can do this on my own. I'm a big boy and I've done this plenty of times. Yeah, this is how heavy the gearboxes are. I mean, that's one hand and I can just lift it with one hand off the ground. Yeah, okay. You don't want to be lifting it with one hand because you'll break your back and all the rest of it, and it will eventually lose your grip unless you've got mitts like a gorilla. Okay, so yeah, so just, you know, be sensible. I think we've